Welcome to the second in a series of Fireside Chats. I'm Glenn Rogers of New Direction Solutions from Carson, California, and I'll be your host in tonight's session. I'm joined by Kevin Spencer Smith of Wilmington, North Carolina, and DJ Duarte of Makoto Flow Limited in Hejunka, Japan. I think tonight's discussion, we're going to talk about the Toyota house, and specifically, we want to deal with three aspects of Jidoka, just-in-time, and Hejunka. So I guess I would just start the discussion by saying, gentlemen, how do we think these three things relate, and where are we with them in terms of how they build the house and how they move us forward?
We've noticed that, there's a lot of emphasis on the just-in-time piece, right, Glenn?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and for some reason, there's a loss of understanding of truly what Jidoka does to this entire system, as well as, the imbalances that Hejunka tries to level off, right, to organize. So I think the interrelationship of all three is whatever we share today in this discussion is what we really want everybody to walk away with. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for hosting this, Glenn.
Well, my pleasure.
So looking at the Jidoka side, we've talked about this in the past, and we've had that discussion that, for many people, the Jidoka is the lost column.
Absolutely.
Or the forgotten column.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is, if you just fit it down, if you look at the JIT side, which I know Glenn's going to tell us something about in a little while, but if you look at the JIT side, all the quick ROI is on the JIT side. There's also a lot of standalone on the JIT side. You can do a WOW program on its own without a link system.
Yeah.
Just use 7 waste and call it a war on waste. And you can pick up a lot of low-hanging fruit, and you can get a good return on investment. You can also do a SMED event all on its own. SMED will stand alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? Same thing.
Right.
You can get a quick ROI. However, when you start to go over to the Jidoka side, what's going to happen now is there's nothing fast on that side of this thing. So I think what Jidoka does at the end of the day is glue everything together into a system. I think it forces a system, and what that's going to do is give you not just a quick return on investment that you may just backslide on in 6 or 7 months. It's going to force you into a discipline.
Yeah.
Because once you start stepping into Jidoka, there's no quick return on investment anymore.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying there, Kevin, because on the Jidoka side, you really have that built-in quality component where you got all the poka-yoke aspects. You're trying to do zero defects, those type of things, right? But you also have that other piece that people tend to forget on Jidoka too, which is the flex manning piece. How do you link the people and the equipment together, right? To be more efficient. So yeah, I really love that what you said.
So just very quickly on that, because you've gone there with the separation of human work from machine work.
Yeah.
And I think this is where a lot of people have hit the wall. And the reason they hit the wall, I think, is what we'll do is take it down to the very basic. So we have an operation, we have a human being, and he's using this hand to hold something, and he's using this hand with a drill or another piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. So now I've got him tied there doing something to this product. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to free up the left hand. So now I'm going to make a device that's going to hold the part.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, this can be a really fancy piece of equipment. It can pick up the part. It could be a single arm robot working at the side of you that now holds the part. So I've got this hand free. I've freed up the human being here. The next trick I need to do is free up the right hand, the other hand. Okay. So now I'm going to create, if I'm drilling a hole, I'm going to put automatic drill system in. So now what I've got, I've freed the human. So now what I can do, I can take the human and give him something more important to do because the machine's on its own. However, that very seldom happens, in my opinion. Right. In my experience, here's what's going to happen. We start this off, and the minute we start to pull the human being away, we find that our automation doesn't quite work 100% of the time.
Right. Yeah, not synchronized. Yep.
So now what we do is we say, okay, well, we're going to play with this for the next 6 months. So we leave the operator there. So his job's now changed, right? He's gone from operator to supervisor of a piece of equipment.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's still in location.
Yeah.
We've not been able to deploy him anywhere else.
Right.
So now what we're doing is we're adding a ton of cost because now we've got an automated piece of equipment. We can't leave it alone. And the human being's really got nothing to do but stand and watch it. And every so often, a piece of steel is going to fall out of the robot arm, and he's going to pick it up and give it back to it, and we're going to start all over again, right?
Yeah, right, right.
And I've seen this so many times, and I'm actually seeing it currently, where we did a recent Kaizen, and we've got operators on a machine that's running 100 parts, and they load it and they offload it, and it's like, okay, now it's going to run for 60 minutes on its own, give them something else to do. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. The thing keeps jamming up. So the operator every so often has to feather the parts so they shuttle correctly. And it's like, all right, you spent all this money on an automated machine, and I still can't move an operator away from it because the automation is so complicated, it keeps jumping itself up. But anyway, I've seen this so many times in the last 30 years, it's not funny.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think a lot of people do. And then they get, it's like once bit, twice shy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, let's stay on the JIT side.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. And the thing is, and I think what you're really alluding to is that automation, right? That how do you get something to work by itself, but still be connected to a human, and be efficient with the human and the equipment, and the machine. Yeah, so that's good. Excellent. So Glenn, tell us a little bit about a JIT piece.
Well,
JIT, one that everybody likes, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's like I think we've talked about. We tend to stay over that side. I think it's interesting to note that when we've talked about, Kevin and I have talked about this, where the Toyota production system, I think, was first known as the just-in-time system, and then later became known as the Toyota production system. And so then when you look at, well, what does that really mean? Well, what it's really saying is that we're producing product at the right time in the right amount. And it kind of stays right there in terms of the philosophy. But when you look at what that means, all these other things we've just been talking about all have to work for that to be truly successful, right? I mean, you're not doing excess of anything. There's no wasted motion, wasted material, or wasted machine and manpower. Everything comes together at the right time to make that happen. And it's very difficult to get there in my mind and from my experience. And obviously it's like dancing when it is there. And when I think about what we've been talking about, especially as it relates to Hejunka, where you're really trying to level things out a little bit, make them a little smoother. And then with the Jidoka, I really want that guy to be able to move from machine to machine to machine. I've made him that much more flexible. When all those things take place, it's really something to watch. And I think beyond that, if you try to put too much into it in terms of thinking about inventory, you kind of miss the point. Because it's not just inventory, right? When we've talked about this before, it is about all of these things coming together so that you hit it exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. And it's a mouthful when you think of it in those terms.
Yeah, and I mean, I would add to that I was always taught, just in time is tact, then continuous flow, then when you can't do that, small batch, then pull, right? So that's right. It was that sequential methodology that you had to go through. And what I see people today with just-in-time practice is jumping right into a pull system without trying to get the most optimized tack system first, the most optimized flow system second, the most optimized small batch system third before jumping to pull. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's too easy to do.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Anything to add to that, Kevin?
No, I mean, yes, I've always got something to add because I just can't stop sometimes.
The wisdom's just blossoming out of you.
Yeah.
It's age. It's a horrible thing. You get
Is that sage or age?
Age. And actually, in this case, it's probably sage.
It's probably sage, right?
But what it is, I mean, you're just a young puppy over there in Japan.
55, stay alive.
A patriot over here in California, we've got this stuff stuck on the inside. And sometimes we just shake our head and something falls out.
Yeah, that's right.
And some unsuspecting person suddenly starts understanding an intricate part of the Toyota production system.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, again, I just emphasize that I've seriously seen this, been guilty of it. It's so easy to slide into and stay in JIT. it just, I mean, you can spend a career working in there, which is a shame, because the minute you walk away, there's nothing to sustain that. And Jidoka will sustain it. But again, it's going to sustain it because there's a cost that goes with Jidoka.
Right.
And that forces a commitment.
Yeah.
The JIT's got all the sexy tools. I mean, it's just fun to play with it, right? But it's you've got to make the effort. You've got to run those two lines. As you're going up those columns, you can't just climb the one and leave the other one just over here, because what's going to happen is the roof's going to fall.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I like DJ's point about Hejunka being at all levels.
Yeah.
Because when I think how I was first introduced to it, they held it back. I say they, that was the Japanese, of course, when I worked with them. They didn't teach that concept to us right away, because we were still into solving our problems, right? We were still trying to get to the flow. We're still trying to make all of that happen before we start looking at what Hejunka can do for you in terms of your process flow. But I think it's important to note that once you start to understand how Hejunka works and really what it does for you, there's really a high level that you can get to where now you're working directly, with your customers in terms of asking them, hey, what can we do to help you? You let us know, we can help you do those types of things. And Hejunka is one of those tools that lets you do that. You got to be pretty good though before you can get to that level. And I think that's the thing about Hejunka is that, you do use it low, you use it high as well. And all these things I think have a certain timing to them. That's what we've been saying about just in time. You get lost in just in time, you can forget about some of the best stuff out there in terms of really making you truly world-class at what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. In fact, if I were to say anything about Hejunka, it's truly, trying to eliminate the variability between man, between process, between system, right?
That's right.
Because if we don't do anything about it, we have all of this going on. Yeah.
That's right.
And the moment we start to use Hejunka thinking, and whether that be, a Hejunka box, or whether that be some Kanban type of engagement, or whether that be, just handing off from one operator to the other operator so that we can do this particular mix and model better. Those are all components to Hejunka. And so it really starts when you look at your system. You're really looking at the three mu's, right? You're looking at Muda, Moody, and Muda, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to see waste, but it's harder to see overburden. It's harder to see the bullwhip effect, the variation effect.
Unevenness.
Yeah. So, I believe that from the get-go, once you have a system, you have to look at what is happening to that system in that way, and then you can adjust and make changes accordingly.
Right.
Sometimes it's putting in a Jidoka concept, like let's say a jig, that allows for better balancing. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But people don't look at it that way. They look at it more like, well, I'll only use Hejunka if I need, a Hejunka box, or I need to level my production. And no, use it all the time in many different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And by the way, I just want to add one more point, Kevin. Sorry, but I totally agree. This is, when people focus on inventory, that's where that word throughput really comes out. And everybody knows that if you just reduce inventory, your throughput looks better. Yeah. So Hejunka has never been focused on just looking at inventory. Yes, they do want to lower the inventory levels. No, don't get me wrong, but that might not be the only issue. Hejunka allows you to see the whole playing field. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
You were saying, Kevin?
I forgot now. It's old age.
Okay.
Wait till you turn 70.
What I was going to say is for a future discussion, because you know what we've done here is quite interesting, especially with Hejunka, is maybe we've enlightened a few people that it's not just what they thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can do that with some of the other methodologies. SMED is a great example, and I think at some point we should do that. Pick the methodologies that aren't quite so obvious of what you can do with them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, initially SMED, single minute exchange of die, and you say, I don't use any dies, we're not going to do that. And you say, well, it's quick changeover. Don't you have a changeover?
Absolutely.
Right.
Say, yeah, but we don't have the type of equipment you've got. And they say, yeah, well, maybe you're just changing orders in Copyland.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's a tool that just transfers right across.
It goes
That's
right
right.
through.
Other tools that
Goes
transfer
right
right
through.
across.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
So,
And it's just like a kitting. People think kitting is a just-in-time thing. It isn't. It's actually a Jidoka thing.
Yeah.
Doing good kitting is what's perfect for making sure you have built-in quality. That's why the kitting system actually exists. But people think of it as a just-in-time practice.
yeah,
You can use it in just-in-time. I didn't say you couldn't,
Right.
but it was actually designed for better quality, right?
Uh,
All right. So, hey, I mean, that's all I have really to share today. Anything else?
I think, and I think it's time. Yeah, we cut this one and say goodbye.
yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay, it's fun.
Let's do it
And,
again at sometime soon, you know, maybe another week or 3 weeks, something of that nature. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Based
Really
on our current
appreciate
schedule, we schedule it for a week out, and
Yeah.
then each of us cancel it for a week. So we're doing one every month right now.
That's what it's been. Yeah.
And if we leave this piece in, we'll just let you know, because so you know how this works out. One of us, the man in the hat, is in around lunchtime in Japan tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
That's right. That's
Um,
right. That's right.
And from California, it's around about what, 7:30 to you?
Yeah, not quite 7:30.
Yeah, and for me, everybody's in bed.
Yeah, I was going to say it's past
10:30.
your bedtime.
Yeah,
The good part is you don't have to walk far to go to bed, man.
this is true. This is true.
All right, folks. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.